All right, it's that time again, time for the weekly astrology forecast. And we're looking at the week of September 16th through the 22nd. So that's September 16th is Moon Day, which is how I like to start my forecast, and then going through Sunday, September the 22nd. And there's a lot happening. Change is in the air. Absolutely. We've got the last week of summer. This is the last week of summer, y'all. On the 23rd, it officially becomes autumn. We have the autumn equinox next Moon Day. And at that point, the sun will be moving into Libra. But right now, the sun is still in Virgo. This is the last week of Virgo season, the last week of summer. And it's harvest time. We've just had the harvest full moon. On Friday the 13th into the 14th, we had the harvest full moon, and it was in Pisces, and it was intense and dreamy and magical and all the things. It affected all of us differently, but it was big nonetheless, right? And then the moon moved into Aries, and the moon has been in Aries this past weekend that we're just moving out of. And now that we move into Moon Day, we're looking at as the moon is going to go void as it moves between Aries, and before it gets into Taurus, there's this void moon time. And so that's happening for us on Moon Day. And so while there's this sense of needing to accomplish things and check things off the list and take care of the details and all those Virgo things, and while we probably have like dates and deadlines and things coming up, we also have this sense emotionally with the void moon of being asked to get into our stillness a bit, go within a bit more. There can be a sense of about how we feel. Like it's changing, it's shifting. There might be a sense of desiring more clarity in our emotional state at the beginning of the week. But then and so it's important to honor that. If you're feeling that comes up for you this Monday, it's important to honor and understand that things are cyclical and energy shifts. And as we move into Tuesday, the moon's going to move into Taurus, and we're going to feel a shift. But before we get there, I want to talk about another important thing that's happening on Moon Day the 16th, and that is that Mars in Virgo is going to be trining Pluto in Capricorn. And what this is really going to do for us is that desire to really get things done and be of service and have our ducks in a row and organize and all of that desire is going to be meeting in a beneficial, in an easy flowing conversation. It's going to be meeting the place in us that's calling for change and that's calling for doing things differently, especially as it comes to leadership and authority. And there is a shift, a transformation that we're being asked to make between how we have done things in the past and the way that we've, maybe had to push or hurry or scurry to accomplish our goals. And now there's this new element of realizing a deeper state of flow that we can shift into, where we can accomplish more by seemingly doing less, by being more focused in the moment. And that's something that this Virgo, Mars in Virgo, trine Pluto in Capricorn, I'm really feeling this deeper conversation of asking us to really look at the shift and transformation that we can make into a more easeful flow state, which brings more productivity as well. So that's something to really be exploring, especially on Moon Day when we're in this void moon as well. It's like, there's a shift, there's a transformation afoot. And this past weekend that we're just coming out of, another big thing that happened is that we had Mercury move into Libra. Yes, Mercury moved into Libra and also Venus, right? Yes, Mercury and Venus both moved into Libra. And so we're starting to shift the conversation. With Mercury, we're starting to shift the conversation in how we think from this scurry, hurry, get things done, check things off the list kind of energy that can come with the end of summer and Virgo season, into a place of starting to reflect on our relationships and our relationship dynamics, and how important it is to communicate and be in communication, and things like healthy boundaries are coming up, like where we have boundaries in relationship, where we don't, what it means to have healthy boundaries, and how like we can really be in communication about how we desire to be loved and respected and cared for, and then also be listening, be really hearing the other in relationship about how we can be in this loving, flowing dynamic with them. And especially with Venus moving into Libra, and Venus is at home in Libra, and so there's this sensuality and this lusciousness and this desire for really connecting in that sacred dance of relationship with the other. So wherever we're at in relationship, whether it's flowing and easy and beautiful and supportive, or whether there's some challenge there and some renegotiation that needs to happen, our brains are shifting more into awareness about this, and we're beginning to reflect on these dynamics deeper as we shift toward Libra season, which is going to be beginning with the autumn equinox on the 23rd. But already having two planets shifting over this past weekend into Libra, we're beginning to move into that energy more. So what else? Oh, so much juicy goodness. I want to make sure I touch on all the big highlights. Once the moon is done with her void on Moon Day, on Tuesday she's going to be moving into Taurus, and she's going to, let me just double check my notes here on that. Yeah, she's going to be on Tuesday, the moon is going to be moving into Taurus, and there's going to be, when the moon is in Taurus, she will be trine our sun in Virgo. And so this is like stroke of genius time. There's an opportunity on Tuesday and Wednesday for us to really have some powerful insights that are going to help you move forward, especially as it relates to practical things and the logical next best steps that you need to take. And so it's important to also realize that the moon in Taurus is a slow energy. This is like, I think of the tortoise and the hare, and the moon in Taurus being that tortoise that wins the race by that slow steadiness. So there's definitely the conversation here of realizing that the best way that we can probably make the most of this last week while the sun is in Virgo is to also, particularly on Tuesday and Wednesday, lean into that conversation of the slow and steady wins the race, which goes very much in alignment with that Mars in Virgo trine Pluto and Capricorn. This conversation here is going to really help us to get into that conversation of how more can get done by doing less when we work smarter, not harder. Smarter, not harder is going to be an important theme this week. And then we'll have another void moon on the 19th. So we've got two of those this week. So on the 19th, we're also going to have more of this internal conversation. It can be a deep, shadowy look within at some of the areas where we might have been avoiding touching what we feel, holding back from what's really true, and we're going to be asked to like go inside that and look at things and re-examine what may have been holding us back from really stepping into our next evolution on our path. And then we, as the moon on the 20th, the night of the 19th, but into the 20th, as the moon moves into Gemini, the conversation is really shifting to one of deeper communication. And this is really fitting to have toward, the last several days of the week here, on Thursday into Friday. to be having Gemini, the moon in Gemini at this time is going to be really helping us in making that shift toward Libra, because it's going to ask us to find deeper clarity, and we're going to have an opportunity to really find deeper clarity in communication. It's going to be really important to have those one-on-one conversations anywhere where you've been avoiding really speaking up and being honest about your truth, or avoiding important communication. This is really going to be time to have those conversations that are going to help you and the people that you're relating with to have deeper clarity. There's definitely some potential for deep conversations in one-on-one partnership relationships and in business relationships that are going to be really productive. A lot of productive communication can come from the combination in Thursday and Friday. And then also, I almost missed one thing that's really important, and that is that on Wednesday the 18th, Saturn is going to station direct. Saturn is stationing direct, and this is important because when Saturn was retrograde, there was, we found ourselves really questioning authority, our own and that of others, and what it really looks like to be in our own authority, to claim our power, to be the leaders of our own life, or to be examining the leadership that we see around us, the leadership in business, in corporations, in the government. We're like really been in this conversation of going within and examining that, and now we're able to begin to step forward with a clearer picture of our own power and authority, a clearer picture of how we view power and authority structures around us. But that conversation is definitely shifting, and to have that shift and then to have the moon go into Gemini, there's going to be some really powerful, productive conversations that can be had here. My encouragement is honor yourself if you're needing downtime, but also remember that it's essential not to just hide from and avoid those important communications that need to be had, because that's how you really take the steps forward. And without taking the time to really communicate about what you're feeling and really hear what other people are feeling and also what you're thinking, all of it, without really taking the time to do that, then we can't possibly be on the same page, and therefore we have confusion. So if you're not taking the steps to speak up, particularly in relationship and have those important conversations, there could be a sense of confusion that could be overwhelming at times. But the antidote to that is really going to be to speak up and be clear, and also be willing to listen. This communication is a dance. It should never just be one-sided where you're just dumping on the other or being dumped upon. You need to make sure that it's a back and forth balanced communication. And as we're moving more and more into Libra, and Mercury's now in Libra and Venus is in Libra, that search for balance is going to be really important to navigate. And then toward the very end of the week, Saturday into Sunday, the moon is going to move into Cancer, and we're going to find ourselves wanting to spend more time with family and be more snuggly and nurturing, and really self-care is going to be really important this weekend, and really tending to our own needs and to that of our family, and really like loving each other up, but just really the opening our hearts and just really giving our love and being in communication, being in that dance of relationship is going to be a really beautiful lead up to next week when we move into autumn and we have the autumn equinox. So those are the big things, and yeah, I'll leave you with that for now, and more soon. Thank you for tuning in.